Now's the time to be part of the team at Team Toyota. Step up to the plate with a winning lineup of new Toyota models like the new 4Runner, Grand Highlander, and the all-new 2026 RAV4. Or find something perfect for your game plan and your budget with over 300 certified used Toyotas available. And don't sweat a trip to the IL. Our service and collision centers will have you back in the game in no time. So slide into one of our 3 locations, Princeton, Langhorne, or Glen Mills, or take a swing online at teamtoyota.net.
This is Phillies Talk, presented by Team Toyota. I am McKercher, honored to be joined by the one and only John Clark down here at Baycare Ballpark at Phillies Spring Training.
Let's go. Spencer's back at Spring Training.
We're ready to go. We're ready to go. If you're watching on YouTube, we are actually in the main press box where Tom McCarthy and Ben Davis, Ruben Amaro Jr. call the games down here at Baycare Ballpark. It's a lovely day down here. It feels good to get down. I got down last night. And the weather is beautiful. It's sunny. It's 70. It's been great. And if you're watching on YouTube, we're actually going to flip the camera real quick and show you the newest addition to Baycare Ballpark. And that is the gigantic new scoreboard out there in right field. So the scoreboard there, if you see it to your left, was the old scoreboard. That will now be sponsorships out on there. But now they have a gigantic new big scoreboard out in right field. So if you come to spring training this year, that's something to look forward to out in the new. But John, as we sit down here today on Sunday, really the big news of the day is Bryce Harper. We see him for the first time in spring training, and obviously his comments immediately this morning were kind of jarring.
Yeah, look, obviously he was hurt by it. He said he was hurt by Dave Dombrowski's comments. And I guess his main thing, why was he hurt? He felt those critiques should be in-house, that Dave Dombrowski and him should talk about it together and that it should not be put out there publicly. So his main thing is like, okay, when I came here to the Phillies, it was I keep things in-house, you keep things in-house. And I guess he feels that Dave Dombrowski broke that agreement. But Bryce did say he did not have the year he was supposed to or wanted to. I mean, he had the lowest slugging percentage, on-base percentage, and OPS of his 7 years with the Phillies.
Bingo.
Didn't have an RBI in the playoffs. And he said his season and postseason were not where he wanted it to be. So he is saying what Dave said, but I guess he feels it should have been kept in-house.
And I get that. I completely get where he's coming from. And I think when he got here for the first time, Dave wasn't here immediately. But I think when Dave Dombrowski became part of this Phillies front office, it sounds like he was told, hey, we're going to keep everything in-house. Now, the only thing that I disagree with Bryce's comments is that that's not necessarily in-house something. That's not something that's, hidden from the media, hidden from fans. Like you said, he had the lowest OPS, the lowest slugging percentage, the lowest on-base percentage of his entire Phillies career. That's something that everybody can see. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with keeping it in-house, but regardless, it was still jarring comments.
Yeah, and look, Dave Dombrowski is a Hall of Fame general manager and president. He knows what he's doing.
Bingo.
He is very smart. And so if he feels that he can add that extra edge or get a little anger in Bryce, stoke some more emotions, I mean, we have seen in Bryce Harper's career, and he said today he does not need to be motivated.
To be great, too.
To be great for his career. But we have seen when some people put something out there about Bryce, number one, the Atlanta Braves player, Orlando Garcia.
Yep, bingo.
Okay, what happens? Bryce Harper has stepped up each time in big moments. And basically you can see when he has an even bigger edge or has that extra chip on his shoulder, he is even better. So I think Dave Dombrowski feels maybe he was like, okay, I got to stoke this flame a little bit and light it a little more. So I think that's maybe Dave's motivation because he knows what he's doing.
Bingo. Whatever Dave does isn't necessarily just, hey, this is out on the whim. It's all calculated. Yeah. It's all correlated.
Now let me ask you this. Would it have been okay if Dave just said, I don't think he had an elite year. We know Bryce is an elite player, and we think he's going to have an elite year next year. Do you think that would have been okay? Or was it the part where he said, I don't know if Bryce will ever be elite again?
I think that's the big part. Yeah. I think that's the big part. If he said, hey, we're looking forward for him to bounce back in 2026, that's one thing. But the fact that he said we don't really know, I think that's where it got under Bryce's skin, and understandably so. But I'm glad you mentioned that because and whether he says he's motivated or not, I think there is some motivation, right? And he talked about the not elite shirt, and he said, the shirt was made for me. I had to wear it, whatever. Bryce is not that type of person.
Chose to put it on.
Exactly.
And he's a brand.
Bingo.
So he's not going to put something on that does not represent what he's thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
and he put it out, right? It was from his
It was
account.
on his TikTok.
Yeah.
It was on his TikTok. So he knew what he was doing going into it. But I am glad that he talked about it, at least. And I'm glad that, in my opinion, you and I talked about it right before we got started, I don't think this is like drama, right? And I know a lot of the reaction on social media today has been, well, here it is, more fuel to the fire. Everything's kind of tense now in Philly spring training. I disagree with that.
Yeah.
I think it's just more or less like, hey, we got this out there. Here's my feelings about it. And we move on. And he said he talked to Dave. They cleared the air. And everything, I think, can move on at this point. And I think it is just fuel to the fire.
And listen, Spencer, you've covered sports for a while. I've covered sports for a while. When guys say, I don't need extra motivation, come on.
Correct.
Like Michael Jordan in The Last Dance, he created extra motivation.
Bingo.
He created slights. He made up quotes for other people that they never said so that he could go and light them up for 50. So I think, like look at Luka Doncic in that example where I think the Mavericks were not happy with conditioning, and maybe some of the things he was doing, he wasn't keeping himself in the greatest shape. So he gets traded, right? That's like a slap in the face to him. He was crushed by it. But what does he do? He gets in the best shape he's ever been in.
Correct.
And then he's lighting it up.
Yep.
So I think they kind of said, and Dave Dombrowski said, you know what? I need to put another log on the fire.
Bingo.
And let's get the fire burning even more. And by the way, I mean, Bryce, when you saw him today, he looks in incredible shape. Rob Thompson says he's in incredible shape. We've seen Bryce do all the things off the field. He had the blood therapy or whatever they call it.
Transfusion, whatever. Yeah, exactly.
That's way above what I'm doing in my routine every day.
You and me both.
So I think whatever has transpired so far, it's at least working right now because Bryce looks in fantastic shape.
And Rob today on Monday as well said he didn't know if it's more or less muscle that he put on, but regardless, Bryce looked in incredible shape. And that's something I'm not surprised about either. And he talked about the blood therapy thing. He said it's more or less for his playing career as well, but also life longevity.
Yeah.
So, hey, whatever that guy wants to do. And I think, like you said, the greatness of players comes from extra motivation. You mentioned Michael Jordan, LeBron. All of these great players have had some sort of criticism from whether it was a coach, whether it was from family, whether it was front office. And that's only been more fuel to the fire. And I think we're going to see a remarkable season from Bryce Harper in 2026.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it does burn in him that he didn't knock in a run against the Dodgers.
Correct.
There's been a couple moments in the playoffs. We remember in the clubhouse afterwards where he said, you guys have no idea how devastated I am right now. That I think it was the Arizona series.
It was.
Where he said, like, I missed the barrel by 1/1000th, or he had the exact number. I'm like, wow, that is. And he said, you have no idea how devastated I am right now. So Bryce wants the biggest of moments. Yep. He wants to come up big in those moments. And as I said, anytime there's been a little something out there about Bryce from whether it's another player or somebody, he has always shown up in the biggest moments. So I think that's going to happen again here.
Now, is the story to bed? In my opinion, I don't think it's drama. I think it sets standards for Dave Dombrowski in the front office, and it sets standards for Bryce, in my opinion. I don't think there's drama for the rest of the spring training and heading into 2026.
I agree. And this is old school. This is the way some coaches, some executives used to motivate guys, is sometimes through the media. George Steinbrenner in New York all the time motivated his guys. Yeah. So Bryce is a red light player, as Larry Bowa likes to say. And so I think this is going to work out well this year. And I think it is settled now. Bryce is still a little upset, was hurt by the comments. But it's not going to be something that we ask about again, in my opinion.
I don't think so either. I think it's put to bed. And if you missed the comments, they are on NBC Sports Philadelphia social channel and on NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com. I'm sure they'll be on Sportsnet Central if you're watching on NBC Sports Philadelphia on your TV. Now, there's some other comments. He spoke for about 14 minutes this morning. And one, it was just great to see him. But two, the second takeaway I took away from it, in my opinion, was him saying that he, going into this offseason, thought Kyle Schwarber was 100% going to be a Cincinnati Red. Go back, play for his hometown team. What about you? Is that something that kind of caught you off guard a little bit?
Well, when we saw the Cincinnati Reds bring Kyle Schwarber's dad out to the mound to throw out the first pitch when Kyle Schwarber was back in Cincinnati.
Even keep the city.
Yes. I was like, uh-oh.
Bad.
Uh-oh. Because they're pulling at his heartstrings. And so I thought there was a chance, but I think in the end, the way Kyle says it, if the money was right there, he wanted to come back to Philadelphia. And Kyle wants to win. He has tasted the World Series championship with the Cubs. And so
the Red Sox.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The Red Sox.
And so his best way to another World Series is the Phillies. So I think in the end, if the Phillies stepped up in money, and I was told at the time, yes, there were other clubs coming after him, and the Phillies needed to go that extra year, but have it also guaranteed. The Phillies originally were going to have an option year for that last year, an easily attainable option. But in the end, I think the Phillies had to go maybe a little further than they really wanted to go, but they need Kyle Schwarber. I mean, he and JT Realmuto are the best clubhouse guys you could possibly have. Guy had 56 homers, 130-some RBIs last year, career year. So I don't know. I in the end thought Kyle was coming back.
Same, no matter what. And I think maybe that late push from the Orioles, whatever it was, I think obviously they pivoted and went to Pete Alonso, which I think the Phillies, if they didn't end up with Kyle, I think they were also going to pivot to Pete Alonso.
That would have been wild.
Would have been crazy. But I just, Bryce's comments about that kind of took me off guard. And they said he was kind of messing with them all offseason. All the clubhouse guys were kind of messing with Kyle, like, hey, see you in Cincinnati, that kind of thing. But nonetheless, Kyle Schwarber is a member of the Philadelphia Phillies, and so is Bryce Harper as well, obviously. What was something else that kind of stuck out of your brain? I know a lot of people, I see the social media reaction has been talking about the Dodgers. I believe that was your question of like, hey, we've seen what the Dodgers done. We see the outlook of baseball as a whole. And Bryce kind of went into how he likes the way they do. But I've seen people say that that's a direct shot at John Middleton, which I, again, fully disagree with.
No, I completely disagree with that because I believe when Bryce was pitching that year where they got Schwarber and then they added Castellanos, I mean, we heard Bryce mention names. He was mentioning names of guys that are out there that they could get and should get, and the Phillies did that. The Phillies tried to get Yamamoto. They offered more money than the Dodgers, but Yamamoto grew up a Dodgers fan in Japan. So then they tried to get Bo Bichette. They offered Bo Bichette what he wanted, but Bo Bichette wants out of his contract every year for whatever reason, the option. So he's also from Tampa. Maybe the Tampa Bay Rays are building a new stadium. The owners are spending money. Maybe he wants to have the availability to go somewhere else if the money's there. So I do think Bryce believes John Middleton is doing everything he can to build the best team. Does Bryce think Dave Dombrowski had the best offseason? I don't know. I guess we could have asked that.
Could have, yeah. But
that would have gotten spicy. but no, I think Bryce, and that's one of the reasons why he signed with the Phillies, is because he envisioned John Middleton being just like the Dodgers.
Bingo.
Now, the Dodgers are willing to do some things maybe that some other clubs aren't, with the opt-outs every year and things like that, or deferred money, different things like that. So I don't think Bryce was taking a shot.
I don't think so either.
But I think he does genuinely respect what the Dodgers are doing. Bryce studies all of these teams. He studies baseball.
Knows everything.
And so for him to say, yeah, they develop their minor leaguers. They know what they're doing. And that's the team they're chasing. So maybe Bryce get a little fire lit about chasing the Dodgers since the Dodgers sent him home last year.
Bingo. I think that's definitely a huge motivation as well. It was interesting that he brought up the fact that, they develop their own guys. And then, once those guys are developed, then they kind of ship them off. They know what they're doing. And again, I don't think that I saw people saying like, oh, now you expect Aiden Miller, Andrew Painter, Justin Crawford to also be that and then maybe ship them off. I disagree with that fully.
No.
And kind of sparking off that, Bryce did talk about having Aiden Miller next to him in the clubhouse. I know you talked to Aiden about that. What are your thoughts about Aiden Miller and Bryce Harper sharing a locker pretty much right next to each other?
Yeah, I mean, Aiden is in quite a foursome with JT Realmuto,
Yep.
Kyle Schwarber, and Bryce Harper. And, they strategically placed Andrew Painter next to guys like Zach Wheeler, Taijuan Walker, and then, of course, Justin Crawford right next to Otto Kemp, but also next to Bryson Stott. And Bryson Stott joked with me, I guess I'm now that guy. I'm no longer the guy coming up, bringing youth and energy. Yeah, he's a vet. So look, I think most teams do this where they strategically place these things so that these guys can learn how to be a pro. Even stuff off the field about where to live, where to go. Like Brad Keller. Brad Keller comes in, he's asking Brandon Marsh, like where I should live in Philly and stuff like that. And just help them be a pro every day. and manage their life and stuff like that. So I think it's cool. I think Aiden Miller, he is the top prospect, right? I guess Andrew Painter is the second, or 1A, 1B.
Bingo. According to MLB.com, Aiden Miller is the 23rd ranked prospect in baseball. Andrew Painter is 38th.
Yeah.
So
and look, I mean, this year you've got Justin Crawford in center field, and he's going to bring speed. He's going to bring energy. And then Aiden Miller, he's specifically working in at third base and shortstop. And Andrew Painter, man, I mean, I was talking to JT Real Muto after his first bullpen session here, and he said it's so effortless. Like, Painter's up there, 97, 98 already. And he said it's just so effortless with the way he is able to throw the ball that hard. And Andrew seems like he's in a great place. And I really am high on Andrew Painter. 3 years ago, he had the tear. So it's been a long road, 3 years.
Very long.
Yeah. And so last year, you know, when you look back, he's coming off of Tommy John surgery. Aaron Nola said he's talked to other pitchers, and they say it really takes after the first year to start feeling like yourself again. And Andrew said it's like to be able to feel good every day. Because last year he would feel good one day, then feel not so good the next day. And then your arm gets tired, so your arm slot starts dropping. You know, so your arm slot is not where it needs to be. But he says he's healthy, no restrictions, and everything is where it needs to be mechanically. So, you know, you're looking at, you have a possibility of Justin Crawford and Andrew Painter from the get-go having big impacts. And Bryce said, we need Andrew Painter.
He did.
He
Talking
said,
about Zach Wheeler.
Said we need him. Yeah. So it's like not knowing Zach for the first part of the season. So maybe Aiden Miller at some point. We don't know. That would be an intrigue for, you know, mid-season or something like that.
And if you're listening to the pod, you guys know that I'm a big Aiden Miller guy. I'm a huge Aiden Miller guy, and I'm excited to see.
You got Aiden Miller vibes, I could tell.
All the time. I'm so excited to see what he does.
Yeah.
Maybe in 2026, and hopefully in 2027. I'm assuming he's going to start the year in AAA, the way things are going right now. And we, you know, you never know. We might see him up here in the big leagues in 2026.
Yeah, and by the way, I just want to let everybody know, because anytime I put something on social media with these young guys, they're like, what number are they wearing? What number? I'm like, well, right now they have spring training numbers.
Bingo.
I think they're 80, 76, 80, whatever. So they're going to get their numbers, because I don't even think Justin Crawford and Aiden Miller are on the 40-man roster, right?
Not currently.
Because they're invitees.
Exactly.
So they will get numbers. Now, I did talk to Justin about his number and his dad, Carl Crawford, because I guess his dad was number 3 and 13.
Yes, 13. Yeah, I remember number 13.
So Bryce Harper basically let it be known, no, you're not getting number 3 when he was drafted. So maybe 13, that is somebody's, though. That's Marshawn.
Bingo.
So he's going to have to pick another number. But I think it's going to be exciting, because I think, you know, watching Justin Crawford, he's incredibly fast in the outfield. He's got great speed. And you're going to have a better defensive outfield, according to the Phillies, because Nick Castellanos, he did a lot of good things in right field, but he was not the best defender.
He was the league worst right fielder defensively in 2025.
And so I think, you know, and we got the pronunciation of his name today. We talked to him, Adolis Garcia.
Adolis.
He said it's Adolis Garcia. You know,
that clears everything up too, because there was a lot of Adolis, everything. It is Adolis. I'm glad we've been saying it right.
Garcia, and he, you know, he won a Gold Glove. Now he's going to have to show that he can find himself again, because he's had a couple down years.
Bingo.
But they expect to have a much better defensive outfield as we look at a beautiful outfield.
It is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. I wish you guys were down here, and if you're coming down, obviously look forward to it. It is always the best down here in Clearwater, Florida, down at Baycare Ballpark.
So escape the cold and come catch the Phillies in Clearwater with NBC Sports Philadelphia and Philly Sports Trips. We're teaming up to bring fans the most unforgettable Philly spring training experience yet. The trip includes Phillies game tickets, beachfront accommodations, round-trip travel, all-inclusive tailgates, and much more. Plus, appearances from Larry Boa, Charlie Manuel, and of course, NBC Sports Philadelphia's own Ben Davis. Book your trip today at phillysportstrips.com.
I want to keep kind of talking about Justin Crawford quick, because I know, I believe you asked today in Rod Thompson's media scrum on Monday about kind of just taking control of that outfield. You talked to Brandon Marsh, who will be in left field to start the season. But if you have Justin Crawford in center field, again, not guaranteed, but all but guaranteed that he'll be your starting center fielder in 2026. But you asked Rob about kind of, when you're the center fielder, you are the captain of that outfield. You take control of everything. And now, as a young kid,
22 years old,
you have Adolis Garcia in right, and you have Brandon Marsh in left, and you're at 22 years old, Justin Crawford out there in center field. And Rob said, hey, you know what? We have all the confidence in him.
Yeah, he said, it doesn't matter if Mickey Mantle is out there in the outfield next to you. You have to take over, and you have to command, and you have to be vocal. And, you know, I do think it's going to be an interesting thing because you see how quick Justin Crawford is. And I saw him the other day working on basically the routes you take to a fly ball. And it's like a receiver. They have to be precise. Now, he's going to be able to make up for some stuff with his speed. But then Brandon Marsh has to know the general sense of what ground Justin can cover, because it is Justin's ball if he wants it. So that is an interesting thing for a 22-year-old jumping in here, making his major league debut, and he's got to be forceful,
saying this is my outfield.
Yeah, this is his outfield, and I got this, and that's going to be fun to see.
And my first morning here too, you could tell Justin Crawford and Brandon Marsh are already best buds. I saw them messing around with each other. They walked out together today. You could kind of get that vibe that they're already clicking. And I'm sure Adolis Garcia will join in that as well. John, just your takeaway so far. You've been down here since Wednesday. What's your takeaway so far from some of the guys that you've talked to? Is there anything kind of behind the scenes that you've seen so far in this spring training so far?
You know, it's interesting because, you know, you think back to the playoffs last year, right? I mean, they've had the second best record in baseball the last 2 years. They've won the division 2 years in a row, and then they lose in the first round. And JT, when I was talking to him about it, he said, look, we need to win that first game of the playoffs. The last two times, like I remember Zach Wheeler against the Mets, 7 or 8, just about scoreless. Shutout, okay.
Dang near.
And then the bullpen gives it up, and they lose. You lose your first game at home. And
Christopher Sanchez this past year as well.
Christopher Sanchez, incredible. And so he said, you know what? Like, we have to ride that momentum, and we have to play our best baseball at the end of the year. But we need to win that first game. When you have your starter go out and do that, you need to lock it down. You need to win that game. And he feels the series, both of them could have been completely different. And I agree with that. So, you know, I think these guys, they have been through this, and they're like, man, we have won so many games in the regular season. They've increased their win total for like 5, 6, 7, 8 years or whatever each year. But they need to play their best baseball at the right time. And I also thought about, you know, against the Dodgers last year, they did not have Zach Wheeler. They did not have Jose Alvarado. And, you know, I think this group together, they've got the scars now. They've got the scars of being this good and then having the early playoff exit coming up short. And, you know, Bryce didn't have an RBI against the Dodgers. Some guys have not looked their best. And I just get a sense like they kind of feel it's now or never. We got to do this with this group. Zach Wheeler has 2 years left on his contract, may retire after that. He has said that. But I like where everybody's at. I like their mindset. Bryson Stott's working on some things. He says, you know, the last 2 years, you know, he hasn't been the best hitter. JT Realmuto, he's not happy with his last 2 years. And I think I like what I'm hearing with the guys and then the starters. The starters, I mean, this rotation, Zach Wheeler, Christopher Sanchez, I mean, who is going to be the ultimate Cy Young candidate?
Yep.
Could we see like a battle between Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler for the Cy Young?
Well, right now, MLB Network has Zach Wheeler ranked 5th, Christopher Sanchez 3rd.
Okay.
And all starting rotation, or all starting pitchers and all across baseball.
But I mean, Zach Wheeler last year, until he got hurt, you know, until he had his issue in August, I mean, he was right there. And then Sanchez kind of took over. But, I mean, look, they've got all the talent in the world. And I just think, and you're going to get a full year of Duran. That's why manager Rob Thompson is really confident. Duran locking down games. So, and he can become even more comfortable because he was traded midseason. So, look, I mean, this team, I expect them to win the division again. And hopefully, just hopefully, they can get over the hump this year and get out of the division round. Because I think if they get out of the division round, then I think they've got like their swagger, and then they've got total confidence, and they could go. They could go to the World Series.
I think so too. And in my interview with Tanner Banks, I put it on social media this past week, and I said, you know, all the people that are out there saying the window is closing, I disagree. But when you put it like that, yeah, I think the window is shrinking. I wouldn't say it's fully closed, but I think this is the team to do it. You added to the bullpen. I think the bullpen is way better than it was a year ago. Rob Thompson also echoes that. I think the bench piece right now, you have Mundo Sosa still, you have Otto Kemp most likely, and then you're going to have guys like Dylan Moore battling with, you know, maybe even a Gabriel Rincones Jr. You never know. But I think having a better right fielder, in my opinion, I think the what's the saying? The sky's the limit.
Yeah,
Going
the
forward.
sky is a limit.
It is. Real quick, just some of your takeaways. I know, and we can hint on this. The latest Takeoff podcast will probably come out on Monday or Tuesday of this week. John has done a great job collecting interviews. I want to just give a hint of what you told me today about Johan Duran and what he talks about his entrance. What was that like?
Yeah, it's interesting talking to him. And I got the correct pronunciation of his name because, people were yelling at him for his autograph down here, and they're like, Johan.
Yeah.
And then it's Johan.
Yep.
Johan Duran.
I've had people on the YouTube comments yell at me about it.
Right. So we're just trying to put it out.
Yep.
The real names. I remember asking Placido Polanco how to pronounce his name, and he told me one thing, and then he told Dan Baker something else. It was Placido or Placido. So I just go to the player and I say, how would you like us to pronounce your name? But Johan Duran, when he comes out for that incredible entrance, he is so locked in that he really, I don't know if I believe him, but he says like he doesn't feel it, or sometimes he doesn't hear everything. But then his friends or whoever, they'll send him the videos and he will then watch it and he'll be like, wow. And it really like fires him up after the fact. And he was so thankful and happy to hear that fans were requesting NBC Sports Philadelphia. I put aside some commercials and we got to see the entrance during the commercial breaks every single time. So he is like thrilled. He really, really loves Philly. And he really appreciates the excitement with the entrance, but he says in that moment he doesn't feel it because he's locked in. Now I don't know.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy. But I tell you, I did get engaged this offseason.
Congratulations.
And I will tell you, I think I had that moment when I was getting on my knee because I kind of forget what I said.
Yep. Just full blackout.
Full blackout. And then like I could hear some clapping, but I wasn't able to see anything because I'm just so focused on getting that ring out. So I can get it. When you're locked in, and you have to say something or do something, you kind of do like black out or block everything out. So
full tunnel vision.
Yeah. But yeah, we have interviews with Bryson Stott, JT Real Muto, and Johan Duran.
I love it.
But by the way, I mean, Adolis Garcia showed up today, and the pictures that the Phillies took.
Oh my gosh!
Now look, I'll show you this.
Look at that, baby.
I'll show you this weak little muscle here. I got nothing. And Adolis, did you see the pictures?
It's insane.
He is jacked.
And it was funny. I saw him walking through the locker room, and he has gigantic on his back. Garcia, big tattoo on his back, which is awesome. He is a large human being, and I believe that is what the Phillies said. If you didn't see it, go to the Phillies social media pages. They posted pictures of him in the batting cages. My goodness, that is a large human being.
Yeah, and if he can get back to what he was. Man, I mean, that's huge. And Rob Thompson, because the big thing is trying to get that protection for Bryce Harper. And he mentioned, okay, Alec Bohm, because Alec puts the ball in play, which is huge, or JT Real Muto or Adolis Garcia. So do you think there's any chance that Adolis Garcia
could
earn his spot as the cleanup hitter and protecting Bryce Harper?
I could see that. And Bryce even mentioned that today. He was asked about, after the Kyle comments, he was asked about bringing in Adolis. And he said, he's a perfect candidate for a bounce back year. It's somebody that is a Gold Glove right fielder. He's a great defensive right fielder. And if he can bring that pop, and he mentioned how he played in that gigantic field in Globe Life Field in Texas. I've been there before. It was insane. We were both there. I remember when we walked down there on opening day of 2023, I walked out. I was like, I feel like I'm in the Super Bowl. Like it was one of those. It was a massive field. So I think coming to CBP and kind of having that short right field and left field, it's going to be huge for Adolis.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting to see how Rob Thompson shakes out his lineup, because he said he's going to mix and match in spring training, and he's going to see what works best. And that's kind of what he was doing last year. And I know there's the theory you go Schwarber leading off or Trey leading off. But I do think Bryce is going to wind up batting third, even though Rob says Bryce told him it doesn't matter.
But I think Bryce wants that 3-hole spot.
Yeah, I think he wants that 3-hole spot, but you have to have good protection for him.
And it is funny that you brought that up, too, because we asked Rob today about, hey, could we see Bryce Harper maybe batting leadoff this season? And he was like, yeah, maybe. Wherever he wants to hit, we'll figure it out. I don't see that happening. Maybe in a random game in the middle of the season, possibly, but I don't see him batting leadoff this year.
Yeah, and if you have Trey or Schwarber, I think at the bottom of the lineup, if Justin Crawford, now I don't expect him to bat 334 like he did at AAA last year, but if Justin is on base and he can steal a bag, or you've got speed on the bases for Trey or Schwarber. Schwarber's going to hit it out.
Yep.
So Justin can walk home. But Trey, I mean, you can get two fast guys, two speedy guys there.
Crazy.
Yeah, they can create some havoc on the base pass. So look, I mean, this team, it's just the playoff early, outs that you worry about, because this team is right up there, top 3-4 team in baseball.
I agree.
And it just has to happen in the playoffs.
Yep. And we're far away from that. It's crazy as we sit down here. Tomorrow is the first full squad workout. Everyone did report today. Rob said there's not really any injuries besides Rincones. Kirkering is dealing with a small hamstring strain, but I don't even know if it's a strain. I think it's just a little tightness, I guess, for Kirkering. And you talked to him also on what's today? You talked to him on Saturday.
Yeah.
So, and how'd that go?
Yeah, I think Orion is in a good place, and I think he's had really good support with the Phillies, sports psychologists with the Phillies, mental health coaches that they have now, and he heard from some Phillies legends. And, the thing he said to me is that he's got to flip the script. Like he said, if you have a bad test, you get a bad grade on a test, you can't let that be your whole semester. You're going to have a bunch of tests, and then you want to make sure you have a good grade at the end of the semester. So he is hoping that this year, if he can have a really good year, be counted on, and comes through for this team, that A that he would get this year eliminates that bad grade that he got last year at the end. And it's a crazy, tough learning experience. He made a mistake in the biggest of moments, but I think he's in the right place as far as being able to be confident this year and not have that self-doubt in the back of his mind. So I do think Orion Kirkering, I mean, this bullpen, and you bring in Keller, and if Alvarado is with this team for the entire year, and then get to Duran, I think the bullpen is very good.
I think so too.
I think the bullpen could be a strength of this team.
I think it's, like I said, I think it's way more improved than it was last year.
And Keller comes in and he's like, everybody here throws close to 100. He's like the velo in the bullpen. My goodness. And that's what Dave Dombrowski does. He wants guys with the velo for the late inning situation.
Which is funny because, if you listen to the latest Phillies Talk podcast, my sit-down interview with Tanner Banks, he mentioned how in 2024, he really focused on throwing hard. And then in 2025, he realized he found success by kind of just focusing on not throwing as hard and kind of just making his pitches and spotting the ball where he wants it to go, not worrying about speed. So you have that mixed with a bunch of guys with a bunch of velo. You have Keller's nasty slider. Should be good.
Yeah, and one other thing I wanted to add that I have noticed, Christopher Sanchez, when he comes into spring training.
That's funny. That's the first thing you told me this morning.
The shape he is in, and I'm telling you, that left arm of his is jacked.
Yeah.
Like, that, it's a lot bigger. It's like Rafael Nadal. I'm a big tennis guy.
Yes, of course.
And he's got that left arm because that's what he's
massive.
And Christopher, he's in incredible shape. And I think the team, like, I remember Rob Thompson saying, we knew Christopher Sanchez was going to be good. We didn't know he was going to be that good last year. So, and Rob Thompson said, like, okay, Jesus Luzardo, like, what is, like, Aaron Nola? Let's say Aaron Nola's a 4 right now, right? I mean, if you're going Wheeler, Sanchez, Luzardo, Nola,
and then
Painter. Painter's the big X factor.
Yep.
If Painter can come up, he doesn't have to be Paul Skeens. Like, he doesn't need to be like, he's not starting opening day.
Correct.
He can kind of like ease in here. It's not like they're depending on him to be the guy.
Yeah, he's not Paul Skeens. Right.
Yeah, like, it's not just him and there's nobody else.
Correct.
So I think that helps. I think that helps the situation because it's not like, I don't think he has to add extra pressure to himself.
I agree. I agree. And I hope, and hopefully that can kind of lead him into success in 2026.
And he looks really, really good.
He does.
And Sanchez, my goodness, like, it's wild to think, like, if he could be the Cy Young winner with Zach Wheeler on the staff. Because Zach has been knocking on the door a couple times.
Finished twice.
Yes.
Twice.
Yeah. And Sanchez was 15th in line for MVP.
Yep, which is insane. Can you imagine saying that at the beginning of last season? And now you have a true certified ace, a lefty, no less, ace for the Phillies and Christopher Sanchez. Yeah. Only good things can happen.
Yeah, I mean, when we look out here at this nice, beautiful weather, a blue sky, beautiful weather, I mean, you can have nothing but hopes. Nothing but hope.
That's right. So we will be down here. John is actually heading home soon, but I will be down here for the next week. We'll be back next Sunday. Sean Kane will be coming down on Tuesday as well. So my Phillies Talk co-host will be back and looking forward to some daily pods down here. But just your final messages, I guess, as we wrap up. before the very first full squad workout.
I'm telling you, Philly, warm weather is coming.
Let's go.
Listen, I'm going back Wednesday, and I see it's maybe going to get up to the 40s and maybe some 50s.
Shorts weather.
Yes, I think we're done with the coldest of weather, and that's the thing baseball does. It's different than every other sport.
Yep.
Once everybody sees in Philly that the Phillies are down at spring training, I see the warm weather. It's coming, Philly.
We'll be there. We'll be there
Baseball
shortly.
season's getting close.
Well, John, thanks so much for joining us
got
on
it,
the Phillies
buddy.
Talk
See you,
podcast
Spence.
presented by Team Toyota. For Spencer McKercher, that's John Clark. We'll talk to you guys on Tuesday.